In this video, I'm going to be converting my 20-gallon long reef tank that's running a canister filter and upgrading it to a sump with an overflow hanging on the back. And here's the end result. I wanted to show the result because making this video, I did make some changes. I thought it was important to show the end first and then go back and show the clips of the materials I used, because I did modify a couple of things, and during the setup and learning process I did change a couple things. But I wanted to show it all disassembled and apart first. So let's go over what I did and the testing I did, and then we'll jump back here. Here's everything I have to get the job done. I got this hang-on overflow box. I can send links of everything of which I purchased down below. The overflow box consists of what goes in the tank, a siphon that will siphon the water from the overflow into the back chamber. There's two chambers, one where the water will flow into and it'll overflow into the final chamber, which has a bulkhead. This sponge and tubing goes in where that bulkhead is. I've done a little bit of pre-plumbing because I wanted to utilize a tube system instead of PVC. We'll see how this works. And then this bottom bulkhead actually goes to the sump. Now the sump I'm using is Fiji Cube 12. I already have a return pump already put in here, and I filled it full of water to make sure it doesn't leak. It comes with a filter sock chamber as well as a media basket. Two bulkheads. Here's the main bulkhead. Here's a emergency drain bulkhead. Bulkhead is at the bottom of this tubing, and here's for the return. The media sock chamber flows into the main chamber, which you can put a protein skimmer in. There's the protein skimmer top. Here's some additional items it comes with. Not the glue, that's separate. Comes with some PVC. I'm not going to use a protein skimmer with this because I'm actually going to have some living items in here, but that's the gist of it. Now, going back on what I prepped so far, I'm going to do this in a couple of phases. I'm going to plumb up the overflow box, make sure it doesn't leak. I'm going to put that in a bucket. I'm going to hang on to the back of a bucket. I'm going to drop it into the sump. I'm going to run the return into the bucket and just make sure I have no leaks. A little bit of prep work I want to show, just in case you're curious. I got a 5-gallon bucket where the overflow is going to hang. I got 5 gallons in the sump. I have this nozzle that I'm going to screw into the return pump. I bought this piping at Home Depot that fits this nozzle. I bought way too much. I actually bought a 10-footer and cut it in half. Then the bulkhead will be inserted right here. This plate where the bulkhead sits is turned on, or is attached by these little screws. So I'll attach a couple of them. Here's the bulkhead that's going in with the PVC at the bottom. So overflow down to here. Then I'll turn the pump on with the piping installed back up there. See what happens. Here's a quick reference on how to build this particular overhang box. This goes in the tank. This is where the water flows down to the sump. There's a nut right here that goes through to a screw on the inside that you screw in, and that is actually adjustable. You can see it goes up and down. The bulkhead comes out here, where there's going to be a sponge on top, and here is the adjustment screw. Alright, here is the mock setup. Overhang box. Piping down to the bulkhead of the sump. When everything is flowing and turned on, it'll go through the sock, down into this chamber, over the gate, back to the return pump, and into the bucket. I just need to turn on the siphon, turn on the pump. I'll have to manually do the siphon with this one, but I can show you how to do that. Let's do some testing. Okay, here's where we're at. I have a demo running here. I'm going to need to make some adjustments. As you saw in the prior video, the tubing was going up and down and circular, which makes no sense as far as gravity goes, because this is just a siphon. It's not pumping down. So I'm going to have to cut some of that tubing to make it fit in the bulkhead. Right now I just kind of made it all downward and just left the bulkhead just kind of down at the bottom. And it's running the return back in, and it looks pretty good. No overfill. It's been sitting at about the same for a minute, so we're not going to be overfilling as far as I'm aware. How I siphoned was I took a small tube that I utilize for like dripping, and I ran it through this siphon tube, this guy here, and I had it to the very top when it was empty, and then I just sucked on it and started the siphon, and it pulled it through this chamber into here, and now it's flowing full, no bubbles. You could probably YouTube videos directly on how to do that. No one wants to see me do that. So I think we're pretty good. I'm going to run this for a bit. You know, there's dust from shipping, there's maybe some glue residue, I don't know. I use cement glue safe for aquariums, and I used aquarium glue for anything that I felt might have some leaks in the PVC tubing. So next step is I'll start prepping it for the aquarium. Alright, and finally back to the end result. So here is the summary of everything. Here's the overflow box. Here's the siphon. Here's the tube that I was talking about using. You drop it down under here, have the tubing about the very top, and then what you do is the other end of the tubing will come out of here, and you suck on it, and then as long as this chamber is full here and there's water in here, the siphon will just start flowing. I use a little bit of styrofoam to make it level, but a little bit of that change is the tubing here. That coupler piece that I had in the prior video made no sense, so I just cemented it up, let it cure, and then aquarium glue. The tubing then drops down into this bulkhead right there. The water flows into this chamber with the sock. I have biomedia at the bottom that I used from my canister filter. Everything flows in here. We've got a couple of clowns, which I had to separate, of course, because one thing I did not know about clowns is you can't put two different species in together. So I have some clowns up here, and they were fighting, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted almost like a quarantine tank, but I decided a sump that's comfortable enough for them. As long as they have some light and some food, they seem pretty happy. Anyway, that'll flow back into this final chamber, and then the return goes back to the aquarium. Now, one thing I use differently that I didn't expect to use is this little protein skimmer that's hanging here. It's just a little guy. Does well. You can see it's already got, I've already emptied it once. I've been running it for about a week. Does great. Lots of bubbles, lots of dirt. It's picking stuff up. It's called the MiniQ Bubble Magus. Cost like $60. then I used this different return pump, which is actually a pretty cool guy, much smaller than in the video. I actually have the controller mounted on the wall. You can see it has a, no, maybe you can't, but it has a constant flow or wave flow. And right now I have it as power of 6. I can change it. Anyway, that's the end result. Seem pretty happy with it so far. I've been running it for almost 2 weeks, and everybody seems pretty happy. All right, thank you.